So Facebook and Apple, the grudge match of 2021, it seems. This is a really amusing story to me. So for anybody who's not in the loop, essentially Apple is making some changes in their iOS 14 operating system update that's going to make it so that apps now have to prompt you to give permission for the app to track your activity across other apps on the web. I think a lot of us in this day and age probably think, yeah, all these things are tracking us, everything's tracking us. But, a lot of times that stuff is in end user license agreements, the EULA, the thing that people click OK, moving on, and don't even bother to read, right? It's kind of easy for you to gloss over and forget about, and you just assume, yeah, they're probably tracking my stuff. What can I do about it? Well, Apple's actually given you an opportunity, like more tools than you already have now, which you do have some in a variety of contexts, like browsers and stuff like that, to actually say, look, no, I don't want the Facebook app to track my activity across other apps in the web. And all right, yes or no, something like that, right? That's big. I think a lot of people will probably say no. And what is the impact of that? Well, it's got Facebook worried because, as much as it's like a social network, it's an advertising platform. As much as like Google is a search engine, it's an advertising platform. And so with Facebook, they make tens of billions of dollars off of selling advertising space. People clicking on the ads, companies are advertising on there. And it's kind of a compelling platform, right? Because you have all these tools to target. I mean, if you've watched other news and you hear about Cambridge Analytica and like the election that happened and stuff, yeah, that was pretty crazy. But there you go. It's going to have some impact one way or another, I imagine, right, Sarah?
Yeah, and it's interesting how other apps like Snapchat and Twitter is like, yeah, it's going to make a difference, and they don't seem all that concerned. Which is interesting that Facebook is so concerned about it. And I mean, it's obviously I know that Facebook and Instagram have quite a bit more traffic than Snapchat and Twitter, and they do make quite a bit more money on those ads. But what you mentioned yesterday, it's interesting how they're making the argument. They're saying, well, this is going to damage small businesses. Small businesses use our ad platform to bring in their targeted traffic. And while that is true, it's interesting that Facebook is using only that argument to make their claim. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of that, and I mean, there's so much to unpack with this, but on the other side of that one, and we were talking about this yesterday, and Justin and I actually both agreed on this, and David kind of made fun of us. I would rather have targeted ads, and I understand that, like, yes, it's tracking me, yes, it's looking at what I'm doing. But I mean, a perfect example, I was looking for skincare products the other day, and I wanted to buy them, and I was going to the website and I was browsing it, and I went to Facebook, and there was a coupon code waiting for me for the exact skincare product I was about to buy. And I was like, okay, great. I was going to buy it anyway, but now I'm definitely going to buy it because I get it for cheaper. So it's interesting how that works. So it does like kind of bring about the question, like, it doesn't mean that your Facebook isn't going to have any ads. You're still going to have ads, and you're probably going to have a lot of them or just as many, but they just won't be targeted. So it's yet another thing where we can see both sides of it. And I think it's pretty easy to see both sides of it. But I am kind of interested in like how the two of you feel about that, because I'm very two-sided, but I'm also kind of, as much as I hate to admit this, I am kind of siding with, I do want the targeted ads for those reasons.
Well, I've already opted out of most things like that. So that's actually made so like I can do a lot of my work better. So like I'm not polluting my own data and things. I'm constantly going to things and checking stuff. So it just makes it easier for me. I put in plugins, extensions, and other rules or browser stuff. Hey, don't send data, whatever. I don't want to show up in analytics and things as I'm doing my own testing. But from the advertiser side, I like ignore the fact about whatever I might think of, actually spending time on the Facebook platform. A lot of people do and they enjoy it. That's great. The ability to target people for advertisements, based on demographics or things that the platform knows, some of their behavior and stuff. I certainly approach what I do is, I know that there's ways that I can help people to do what they're trying to do, probably more from the B2B standpoint, business to business. And so I kind of see it as my duty, if it's possible, I can help them achieve their goals. I have a duty and responsibility myself to try and make them aware of how I can help them so that they can achieve what they're trying to do. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but I really believe that. And so, the kind of the loss of targeting capabilities means it's to some extent it's going to be a little bit more of our shotgun approach. And there's inefficiency with that. I don't think people will stop advertising. I think will people advertise as much on Facebook? Perhaps not. I mean, if they can, find a more targeted and efficient way to do it elsewhere, they might explore that. It might not be immediate. And of course, iOS isn't everything. There's more Android phones out there than iPhones. So it's just a piece of the pie. But I imagine it's gonna make people start wondering, like, should we put as much budget to this targeted, cold targeting on Facebook kind of stuff? That's kind of where I sit on it.
Yeah. Justin, you were nodding earlier. What are your thoughts?
Like we talked about yesterday, I really do think that, there are some people out there that just do not want to be tracked at all. They install these ad blocker plugins and stuff like that to completely ignore the ads and stuff. So I think there's two ends of the spectrum where, some people are going to love this change and then some people are not going to really mind it. So, but I do think that, it's going to be for better in some ways. Just giving people control over their data. I don't think it's a bad thing, but how they approach that and give that choice to the user and how they explain that to the user, and what I think it's going to be up to the developer of the app to give the user a good enough explanation of how they're using their data so that they want to opt in and allow them to use their data.
Hi, this is Sarah from Denver Data Web. Thanks for watching. Please like our video and subscribe for future digital strategy chats. You can also visit our website at denverdata.com or find us on social media at Denver Data Web.